Hey guys, this is Reggie from Ashley Lambert Realty, and I just want to show you my arcade setup and walk you through what my thoughts are after owning some of these for a while. So here is my cabinet setup. I got an Outrun cabinet, I got a Street Fighter Arcade 1-Up cabinet, and an NBA Jam cabinet. I also have a PAC Man cabinet. This is actually one of my last Arcade 1-Up cabinets that I bought. It was on sale for like $2.99, so I went ahead and picked that one up. This one's surprisingly good, but I want to go ahead and speak about some of these over here too. Starting with the coolest one, I think that was just unique, was the Outrun cabinet. This cabinet is very small. It's they make I think they make a miniature 3/4 size cabinets. Arcade 1-Up does. The issue with it is, for a grown person, it's very hard to fit in that. And there's some footage that I've done before in the past regarding like trying to fit into this. But I do think this is a good cabinet for people that have little children and they want to get them into like race gaming and stuff like that. The steering wheel is pretty cool. It does come with 4 games by default. You can upgrade it and get one more extra game. Let me see if I can get to the games itself. We'll click on some of these buttons. I don't know how to get to the game on this one, so we'll start this one over and we'll come back to it. This one right here, this is a Street Fighter cabinet. This cabinet is pretty cool because of the artwork on the side. I remember some of them looking like that. I definitely remember this. And the build quality is okay. But one thing that I like about this one a lot is that it comes with a lot of different versions of Street Fighter. Come on now, there we go. So you've got Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers, Street Fighter Championship Edition, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is the faster version. That was like the most popular version of Street Fighter 2. And then you got Street Fighter, which is the old school OG Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is, I think it doesn't have all the people, but it's faster. And then we come over here to some of the more unique titles like Darkstalker. That's a pretty cool title. Strider, my kids like playing that one a lot, and my daughter really seems to like that game a lot. Ghosts and Goblins, we don't really play that one, but that's pretty cool. 1944, it's like a shooter game, like an airplane shooter game. Final Fight, the OG, this one right here was a lot of fun. It's a good beat 'em up game. And Commando, you know, Commando's pretty well known. But yeah, basically you come here when you cut it on and you get to load these screens. It does have really cool options regarding different playabilities and things like that. We'll go back to the Outrun cabinet real quick. So this was loaded up. You see it's got the original Outrun, something called Turbo Outrun, Outrunners, and Power Drift. I believe there's another one that you can get, like a 5th game if you do the firmware update, which I have not done because that requires me taking this apart and putting it together. These come individually in boxes, so they're in pretty heavy packaging because the system itself is fairly heavy because of the panels. But I will say that if you get the riser, and right here I've done a little hack. This is actually a furniture riser, but it boosts up a little bit higher so they can be to my particular height, and that's really good for me. The marquees are supposed to light up. This one, I forgot where I got this one from, but I did get it on sale. I pretty much, other than this one right here, I pretty much bought all of these on a sale, and I think that it's definitely worth it. I would say if you're an adult, don't get the one where you sit down in the seat. It's not worth it. Get the stand-up version of Outrun. It's easier to play it. If it were higher up, it'd be adequate to like this height, which I think is a really comfortable level to play. Chairs like these work good. Stools like these do not. You see how much lower that is to me. So if I didn't have this on a riser, which would be flexible for me, this would probably be fine. But on the riser, especially with the additional 3 inches, it doesn't work too well. This one right here, it's a good leftover stool we have from a set that we had a long time ago, and it rotates and it works. It works really well, so you can kind of play 2 players together. The kids are small enough to fit there, and this is kind of where I like them to be. This right here, this cabinet right here, you know, this was like the stuff back in the day, NBA Jam. The cool thing about this cabinet is, yes, it comes with NBA Jam, and even the side has the official NBA logo. So what that lets you know is that you're gonna have official team names, official player names for the most part. Let's go to main menu here. Oops, yeah. And we'll see if we can get, see the kids like smudged it up. So you've got NBA Jam Tournament Edition, and you've got NBA Hang Time, which is like a later version of NBA Jam. It was like an upgraded version, which had like a little bit more functionalities and stuff like that. The cool thing about this one though, other than the other ones, is that this one lets you connect to Wi-Fi, so you can play on the internet against somebody. I don't do that, it's pretty slow. I grew up old school, so I like to play local, meaning like you need to be like right here and I'm right here, and here we go, we're playing side by side. That's the way I like to play these games. But you know, if you want to get down on the internet, you know, you can do that. That's your prerogative, that's your thing, that's fine. So again, the risers definitely help with this. I will go over here to this PAC MAN cabinet, which I will say was very impressive, because PAC MAN is a pretty fun game to just play. And I think that this cabinet's price is hard to beat it. I will say that I've seen this cabinet in a tabletop setup where it was just a flat table and you're kind of looking down on it. That actually, I think, works really good too. So those are on sale a lot. I guess they're trying to dump those and get rid of those. So let's go ahead and get, maybe I don't know if I can get out of this. I'll have to start this one over again. This one comes with a series of games too. I'm trying to remember all the games, a bunch of different versions of Pac Man. Pac Man's kind of a weird title, but definitely it's got its tale of different types of Pac Man titles and stuff like that. The titles on this include Pac Man, Pac and Pal, Super Pac Man, Pac Man Plus, Pac Land, Pac Mania, Galaga, Galaxin, Mappy, Dig Dug 2, and Romper. I like Dig Dug. That's a pretty fun game. I'm not a real big Galaga fan, but you know, if you're into that, that's cool. I don't remember what this game is. Some of these versions of Pac-Man are very odd, but you know, you can't go wrong with Pac-Man, and I think one of these is okay. I don't remember which one, but it's not Mrs. Pac-Man. So Mrs. Pac-Man is a different title, and that's not technically on this version of Pac-Man. So the tabletop I saw was actually Mrs. Pac-Man, now that I think about it. But this is a really good cabinet. It's a good value cabinet. I think 12 games are really good. Like I said, this one right here, you know what you're getting. You're getting the NBA licensing. You're gonna be able to do and do it up pretty big nostalgia here. This is a Street Fighter cabinet again. You can't go wrong with Street Fighter, man. I mean, you can play Street Fighter all night long. Haven't we all done that? And Outrun, I mean, who's ever played Outrun and beat it? They even got the map on there to tell you how to get to where you need to go. So I think overall it's a good cabinet set. I do think that it is worth buying at least one of these units and having them in your house. If you've grown up in the 80s or the 70s or even the 90s, I think it's got a good nostalgia vibe to it. One thing I will say though, stay away from this one. I don't feel like it has as much long-term playability as some of the other ones do. I think this Capcom cabinet is a fantastic cabinet if you have people over and you want to play games with people, but you also want to play by yourself. That's another thing. These things aren't really cheap. I don't think $300 is cheap, but that's about as cheap as you'll find one of these. I also believe that spending like $600 on this is too much money. So don't spend $599 on that, just wait for it to go on sale. Eventually it'll go on sale. They'll release something else. There's different versions of these cabinets. Like I know they make a Street Fighter cabinet that's actually much bigger now. It's called the XL cabinet or the Tournament Edition cabinet. That one may be what they call full size, but it's not really like a full size arcade. You can still move these. They're not super heavy and they're not super duper like the old units used to be that were made of solid wood and stuff like that. I will say that my kids for the longest played this one the most, but then they started playing on this too, and ironically they weren't playing Street Fighter, they were playing Darkstalker a lot. I think because that one looks a little bit more animated, a little bit more fantastical, I guess. But yeah, they like to play NBA Jam for a while and they kind of got over that. Every now and then I will see my daughter playing Pac Man, and it's pretty funny when she plays Pac Man because like it's such a simple game, but it's something you can play over and over and over again, and it's such an easy game to play. And then every now and then I'll see my son sitting here playing the Outrun cabinet. So you know, you never know. It took about a year for that one to get play, and that one was the one I was the most excited about because that's the one I could never play. Right? I had that on Nintendo, I had that on like Genesis or whatever, and obviously I had this one back on like computer or whatever. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the weird thing about this stuff. You get it, you kind of want that nostalgia for your children so that they can see kind of how you grew up and some of the things that you got a chance to experience. But I'll tell you, a lot of things that I like to do is just kind of have them turned on and listen to them a little bit. Let me see if I can get some of the music playing over here on this one. A little bit of sound there. I did modify these I didn't like the way these looked at first. They were short, and you can kind of see like I put an extension piece there to bring it up, and I also changed the knob. It came like these knobs over here with the circle. I didn't like it. Like, it's really small. Like, look how small that is for your hand. So imagine playing Street Fighter like that. Like, it's hard. Okay, so this one's just a little bit easier for me to do, like the fireball and stuff like that, and throw things. The buttons are okay. There's nothing wrong with the buttons. I don't have no issue with them. You know, that's a typical fight sequence that starts it up, right? This one right here, like I said, it's small. The steering wheel's okay for children, I think. But it's a small cabinet. I think I wish I had got this vertical for sure. At the same time, maybe my kids couldn't play it because I would have it higher, but I mean, I can't even really play it because it hurts. It physically hurts to play that cabinet there. We'll go ahead and turn this down a little bit. Okay, this one right here, that's Rodman right there, see? Told you, they got Rodman, they got Pippen. I don't know the team they're playing. They kind of look generic. I can tell you Philadelphia. So it's like Jerry Stackhouse and maybe Clarence Witherspoon, something like that. I don't know. But this cabinet here, it's a 4-player cabinet, which is unique at the same time though. If you're here as the 4th player and you're trying to look at the screen, it's kind of tight. It's like you can barely see it, right? But if I'm here, it's okay. Plus, you know, over here on this side, you got the same issue, but it's a little odd too because you can't rest your hand on anything. You're kind of just like this. Right, you're trying to play it and you're hanging off a little bit, so that's a little weird. This one is tight because of how it's set up, you know, like that. But at least you can rest your palm on something, so that's a little weird about that one. But at the same time, I don't think I've ever had 4 people play it. At least not 4 adults play it. So that's the other aspect of it. This one of the issues about it with this one that's kind of known as this little ledge here. When you're putting your hand here, if you're playing with 2 people, you're kind of smushed here, and it rubs a little bit. You know, you can kind of put it here, but that's not really comfortable. Most people kind of keep it like this when they're playing. This player doesn't have that issue because you don't have that bump there. You already heard about that one. This one's a very comfortable cabinet to play because these games really don't have many buttons. So obviously PAC MAN doesn't have a button. Some of the other games have 1 button. Some of them have these other buttons, which I don't know what they do for other games, but this is a charming cabinet. I like this one a lot. This one's just really charmful. And for the money, you kind of can't go wrong. So if I were doing it all over again, like I said, I would buy this cabinet. I would buy this cabinet because this was always cheap. This was one of the first ones I remember seeing. And then I would buy, I'll buy this cabinet because it's NBA Jam, man. I mean, that's like 10 years of games right there. And then I would get this stand up. Again, I would never buy the little small version of this too. I want to mention real quick, there are other competitors out there. So Sam's Club has one called Legends Ultimate Gamer. This is the version of it where it's called the Legends Gamer Pro. So it's got the 8 buttons here with the trackball, so you can play games like golfing games or bowling games or whatever. And these right here, the cool thing about these is that it's easy to modify these and you can put your own games on them. So they call it bring your own games. So you can do that with these and you can just pretty much put anything you can find on here. There's some really cool modifications where you can pretty much put like any type of arcade game on here completely. So I know for mine, I've got a lot of games. I got my OG games, like my WWF games, you know, the old WrestleMania games and stuff like that. This one's cool. The buttons are better on this. They definitely feel more springy. This feels great. Even when I play Street Fighter on this feels great. And I do prefer playing on this now that I've got this set up. I kind of have it set up right in front of this television, right? So that I can just cut it on and play with it. I don't have it on now because I don't want to show you this because what I've done to it is not what it would be like stock. And in order for me to get to the stock screen, I have to undo some settings and configurations to the unit to make it do that. But this one is cool. This stand is broken, but I bought this off of Etsy. I didn't send it back because I didn't really feel like sending it back. It would just be another 7 days to deal with it. So I just let me just go ahead and just put it together anyway. It's sturdy enough, but yeah, they shipped it kind of bad, so it got messed up. But it was Buy Arcade Stuff, I think was the name of the store. And anyway, it's a stand to put this particular unit in so that it can house that. But that's pretty much all that is. I do recommend this as like a secondary unit. So like if you want like the nostalgia vibe, I wouldn't buy this one. They do have a cabinet. The cabinet looks kind of like this. It's not really branded with anything, but you can always find a vinyl sticker and put it on these things and make it rock too. So I think the Legends Gamer cabinet is probably a good option too, which it doesn't come with these exact buttons. It comes with different buttons. So that is one thing to carry out, but it does give you that variety. Also, there's some pinball games on there too. Apparently, I don't have any pinball games, but you could buy pinball games too for this one. I'll just kind of leave it like this. Like, I always wanted to have an arcade machine at home, and Arcade 1UP definitely makes it more affordable to do that type of a thing. I don't game like I used to when I was younger, and what I like to do is just kind of get every now and then I'll touch it. Like I said, like to hear it. It just, I don't know, it's something calming about it. It's something familiar about it. So that's the kind of the thing that I like about the vibe of these cabinets, is the way they look when you come down and you see them. You're like, oh wow, it's like an arcade, right? It puts you in that vibe. So I think that's cool versus like a console, like a Nintendo or like a Xbox or PlayStation or something like that, where, you know, it's got to be on and then you get into the vibe of it. I do like this type of vibe. This is my thing. This is my speed. So would I get, I guess the last question is, this versus a real cabinet. Would I ever buy a real cabinet? There was an opportunity for me to buy a real cabinet. I thought about buying the Daytona USA cabinet. It was about $2,000 though, so that's really expensive. And the issue with it was it's really, really heavy, and to get it into my basement, it would have required a lot of people helping me out because they only would have shipped it to my house. So getting it to the basement would have been a pain in the butt. Plus it uses like the real old school CRT TV. So everything about it was heavy, but that was like my game back in the day when the arcade was Daytona USA. I was pretty big on playing those types of racing games with NASCAR and stuff like that. But I think I could probably go for a bigger regular unit, right? Like a full-size regular one. That wouldn't be too bad with the CRT. It would probably have to be modified though, and have some type of like list of a bunch of different games on it. I'd do something like that, but I wouldn't spend too much on it. I'll probably max 500 on it. I'd even be okay with one that has a modified screen that doesn't have a CRT, mainly because the CRTs, they're heavy and they blow and you have to get them fixed. And it's harder to find that. It's more expensive to fix those. You can just get you like a replacement LED, LCD, something like that, and you don't have to worry about it. So, but I think definitely from a size perspective, those hit the mark. But I think the Legend Gamer Pro, like I said, is probably a better modification to get you there and get you where you want to be on a budget without trying to break the bank and have your back broken too from trying to pick something like that up. Because once you move those, you ain't moving it again. Those real arcade machines are heavy. These are like toys. So anyway, in closing, I think it's definitely a good idea. I know this came after Christmas, but hey, maybe next year you guys can look at it for your kids and see if they would actually want one of these too, because they'll probably be on sale even more because they're making a ton of these now. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Peace.